are there 3 questions perhaps that people wanted to ask me when I whizzed through the sheets that I didn't answer or didn't let you speak?
Oh, it's just good. I noticed in the week that Yanis Varoufakis from Greece, yeah, he set up a party called Democracy in Europe Movement, and they had a big launch in Berlin, and Caroline Lucas turned up from the Greens, and that's meant to be a sort of Europe-wide movement saying vote to stay in, but also, you know, ask for reform. And are the Labour Party involved in that? Because if that sort of takes off in the next few weeks or whatever, I mean, I was disappointed that there wasn't a Labour person on the platform when the Greens were there. And we do need reform.
Absolutely, and we do, and as somebody who is a very strong advocate of social Europe, as I said earlier, Cameron's reforms are not my reforms. And the old joke about directions, you know, how do you get to X from here? Well, you wouldn't start from here. But you know, this is the position that we're in. I think in reality, we've got 4 months, basically, if June is the renegotiation date. And the conversation will become about our membership of the European Union. I'll come back to Yanis Varoufakis in a second, but the point being that we are so far behind in the arguments about the European Union membership, as has been said. Kay said the wallpaper that we have had has been about the EU being bad for us because of straight bananas, because of immigration, because of X, Y, and Z, paper boys, or whatever it is. And so starting up a new agenda for renegotiation is not something we're going to successfully do in this referendum campaign, because that's not going to be the conversation that, as Dave said, those voters on the doorstep are going to be anywhere near approaching ready for right now. I have complete sympathy with that idea of, you know, a different set of reforms for Europe, but we just don't have the time, and we don't have the permission from the electorate to have that conversation with them yet on those topics. But Yanis Varoufakis is very interesting on this, because when we get that, you know, I, as you can imagine, have a lot of people who are very critical of the European Union, not surprisingly on the basis of some of the elements of the deal that was done with Greece. It isn't all done yet either, but that's a different story. But, you know, and they say, well, we should leave the European Union for that basis. When you have people like Yanis Varoufakis, who was the leather jacket wearing economics minister from Greece, who are still arguing for the European Union and staying in the European Union, albeit a different set of reforms to the European Union, it is mystifying why it would be beneficial to the Greeks within the EU for us to leave it. Because it wouldn't be the Tories that, the Tories wouldn't be leaving it for that reason, and it wouldn't send that message to the European Union that it should reform in that way, because the UK has left. Because don't forget, it's a Tory set of reforms that we're dealing with. So it is not going to help the Greeks if we leave the EU. We need to stay in, and like good Labour Party activists and politicians, and like trade union activists and politicians, the way we win arguments and we win battles is by staying in, standing our ground and fighting from within. And actually, if we have the informed debate that we could have through this referendum campaign, and we win, and we stay inside the EU, then we are in a stronger position, and I, as a Labour politician, am in a stronger position to argue the case around those reforms for our membership of the European Union. One final thing on that as well is, tellingly, when the Tories won the election in May last year, and it became blindingly obvious to everybody, both the other 27 countries and indeed in the UK, the conversation that was going on in the right-wing press and with the Tories was that they'll go for things like the Working Time Directive. They would go for employment rights as part of the renegotiation package. Because of Labour MEPs at a European level going to other socialist colleagues and governments in power across Europe, make it clear to the UK government, you can't touch our employment rights. And because of the trade union movement, making it clear that actually the trade unions would be at best ambiguous about this campaign if the government went for employment rights as part of the renegotiation. Nowhere in Cameron's renegotiation package is anything to do with employment rights. And that is a victory that we have already claimed on that basis as well. So, yeah, okay. Yeah.
One of the things that I think is important is so often we talk about them, us, as if we're getting things out of them, rather than feeling that we're part of a big family. And I think that is important. And I always want to ask the question, would they feel the world would be a better place if the EU didn't exist and broke up? Because it really frightens me if the EU broke up and didn't take action. But there's one other point, and that is I feel there is confusion between the European Court of Justice and what they do
and the European Court of
EU.
Human
And I
Rights.
think that is where
Total
we're
confusion.
we're not careful.
Total confusion.
Right, okay. In fact, the European Court of Justice is a European Union institution. It's the European Court of Human Rights that
sorry.
isn't an EU. It's a, well, no, it's a perfect illustration of the confusion that there is around this. Because the European Court of Human Rights, the ECHR, belongs to the Council of Europe. Confusingly, there is a Council of Europe, which is separate again. And that includes a much broader range of countries, including Russia and Ukraine and other countries. The only country that's in that kind of geographical sphere, that kind of Atlas Europe sphere, the only country that isn't in it is Belarus. And there's been some talk in the Tory party of basically effectively taking us out of the Council of Europe and out of the jurisdiction of the ECHR, which would mean it would be Belarus and the UK. Frankly, that's not a place I want this country to be in.
And Greenland.
No, ECHR, Greenland's part of it.
Is it?
Yeah, because it's part of it.
Damn.
Sorry, Mike, you don't get that one this evening. But yes, but then there is also, and this is on a more back to the practical, pragmatic reasons for our membership. People talk about red tape and bureaucracy and health and safety. Red tape to some people saves lives and protects limbs. This, it matters. It means European Union Working Time Directive not just gives us paid holidays, it means that lorry drivers have a proper break between their shifts, and that's really important for the lorry drivers. Actually, it's really important for the other road users as well, or heavy plant operators, or whichever, you pick your area, these things matter. But it also means that red tape means there's one set of rules that cover 28 countries, not 28 sets of rules that cover 28 countries. So actually, it is saving on legislation, not adding to legislation in many instances as well. And there's that kind of standards, there's trading standards and all the rest of it. I promised 3. There we go. You're the last one. I was checking to see if there was a woman. Sorry, I would have discriminated against you.
Look, I've learned a lot today. Actually, it's been really, really useful. I'm left really thinking about that basket of benefits campaign message because I'm worried it's too diffuse. And I would much rather Labour picks 3 benefits and focuses like a laser on them because that's what UKIP are going to do. And a basket of benefits, I just don't see it with me.
Right. The basket of benefits, the point of the basket is actually for you in here because actually, there will be 3 things that you take away from today that you are most comfortable with in terms of talking to people that will be the arguments around it. You know, we are stronger together, we are safer together, and we are better together. And then you can use your illustration from underneath that, that you take from that. But stronger, safer, better, we are better as part of being
so as long as those are consistently coming through the campaigns, the websites, the messages, that really helps me with my concern there. But it hasn't come out this morning, so maybe that's just an opportunity for you to repeat or research it.
And that is because, and that's part of the problem, is that there is so much that we get from it that it's difficult to encapsulate. That's the basket. But it's difficult to encapsulate the environmental protection, the climate change protection, the workers' rights, the free health coverage. These are all elements of why we're better off in. But it is that you will have, for example, Kay mentioned the Police and Crime Commissioner elections. There will be a big part of those elections that is the European Union campaign message, and that is about the European arrest warrant. So the guy that tried to bomb London after the 7/7 bombings, about 3 weeks later, he went to Rome, and he was brought back within weeks because of the European arrest warrant, and is now serving a long sentence in the UK. Ronnie Biggs lived in Brazil for decades before we got him back. These things matter. So there aren't just 3 things that make us better off in the EU. There are a whole load of things, but we are stronger together, we are safer together, and we are better together as a consequence of that membership. Now, what I was going to sort of talk about as well, and this is perhaps following on from that, is we have the referendum. This morning has been around the referendum. I will continue to talk about the referendum in a minute. But also this is about the Labour Party. And this is another opportunity for the Labour Party to talk to voters in Blandford, in Bournemouth, in Dorset, across Dorset and across the southwest. So this is our chance to be putting our progressive arguments out to people and building those relationships and continuing those relationships. Because the Labour Party is the only big national party that is going to be campaigning for in. The Tory party is not going to be campaigning either way officially. It will not have an official position on the referendum campaign. And across the southwest, we don't yet know how the different Tory MPs are going to go. It's becoming clear, but we don't know which way all of them are going to go, and I dare say we won't until after Cameron's done his renegotiation. So, we can't count on the Tory party canvassing in the 51 Tory seats and us doing the 4 Labour ones in the southwest. There are bigger issues to do. As Kay rightly said, we've got local elections we've got to win, but also we've got this wider way of building the Labour Party and working with the Labour Party through this as into the future. There is, again, this is a really important point, we have a very short time. I hope, as one of the other things you will have taken away from this morning, is that we have now potentially 4 months in which to win this referendum campaign. So, please go away from here and start planning and then start taking action. Because if we all go, well, if somebody else will do it, they won't. We have to take responsibility for this campaign. Again, as Kay said, we are working on regional information. We are pulling together the benefits. It's easier. So Cornwall's got huge benefits. You can point to huge projects in Cornwall that you can say, right, this has come about of European Union investment. Precisely because there are unfortunately some very unfortunate economic stats around Cornwall and deprivation. That's why it gets the highest level of support from cohesion policy at a European Union level. there are other things that go on around each of the counties that are as a consequence of European Union support that wouldn't come from national government. The kippers always say, oh, the national government would do that anyway. No, they wouldn't. I'm sorry, there is no way on earth Cornwall would get the funding that it gets from the European Union if it was just down to the national government. There may be village halls or other things that get European Union funding, and please feel free to tell us about those. Working with other campaigns, yes. I've met with the regional director of the umbrella campaign, Stronger In campaign. Again, of course we're talking to them, because actually it's not in any of our interests. It's not in Labour Inn's interest, and it's not in the people who want to stay within the European Union, that we're all in Swindon, or we're all in Bournemouth, or it's that we double up rather than effectively spread resources. We are not. We're not day by day coordinating, but we have said that let us talk to Labour voters, because we know our Labour voters and we know what works with our Labour voters as well. And so that is really important, that this is the Labour In campaign. But we do talk to each other about that clarity around statistics, for example, and making sure that there aren't 3 different sets of statistics that are being used for the same argument, because that's not helpful either, and we need to have that. But the other parties will still do, and as I say, we don't know where all the Tory MPs are going to wind up in this region either. There's 51 of them now, and some of them, like I was surprised Sarah Wollaston has come out for out, or seems to have done. I think she's left herself a tiny bit of wiggle room, but I'm not sure she's going to use it if she does. So there are other campaigns going on, and this is also what I mean about why we have time, and we have to be urgent, and we have to be passionate, because that's what the other side are going to be, and we have to match them on that. As again, as Kay and Dave have said, I will do absolutely everything I can in the region. I do try very hard to get to as many meetings, to as many CLP meetings, to as many now public meetings. We're doing public meetings, to those street stalls and all the rest of it. But it's a big region. It's geographically, I think, well, it's certainly the largest in England geographically in terms of European regional regions, European region elections. But so we do need, if you think that you could, do a school or talk to a group of people, it would be really helpful if you would volunteer to help. But I will repeat what I started with, which is that it is about ensuring that you have the confidence in whatever environment that you are going out to from here, that you feel you will be able to advocate for in, because we have to win this, and we don't have to win it for all of us in this room. This is actually about future generations as well. This is about our children, our grandchildren, should I ever have any. Not that my son's showing no signs of me ever having any, but it is about it's about Britain's future. You're going to try and anchor, say EU's old, it's history. It's not. We are living in a global world. We are living in a world that is getting smaller, but also we are living in a world that is changing really quickly. And if we are going to change to survive in what we need to have, which is a knowledge economy, which is about the future of our families, it's about the future of this country, then we are far better off working with our European Union partners for that investment and for that security that we get from our membership of the European Union. So go away from here, plan, fight, and that way we will win. Thank you very much.